Hey guys, we are back in the workshop and today I've got a new design that I want to try out. It's a ring blade, so kind of like a tactical knife, I would say, and with a grind. Maybe I'm going to do a switch up here, so let's get started with that. So for this knife I'm going to use 01 tool steel, which is a really great steel. And before I'm going to put on this design, I'm going to figure out where I have to put that hole in, and then I'm going to do the whole drawing of the knife onto the steel. So the hole is now done, which you can actually see right here, and I've just taped it down to the steel so it doesn't slide around on the steel. And now I'm just going to use a Sharpie to just roughly mark it out so we can cut it out, and then I will do the final profiling and final fit up on the bolt grinder itself when I got the knife in my hands, just to see it that everything is right and it feels also good. Alright, so the knife is now profiled and I'm pretty happy with the shape, because you can still get a full grip on it, and it's also comfortable holding it like that in the reverse hand grip. And that is, I think, the hardest part on ring knives to get right, because sometimes people, especially for something like that, that is like a small concealed knife, and you mostly want to carry it or use it in a reverse grip. This knife you can still use out in the woods, so it has a multi-purpose. With this one, this is more like a concealed EDC knife. You can still get a full grip on it, but if you have bigger hands, it will be a little bit more tough comparison to the jumper, which has a complete full grip, or basically a complete full grip. And this one was designed with our paratrooper guys from the Bundeswehr, and they wanted to have a full grip because if they want to do survival stuff, they still want to use that knife. But if they want to draw it maybe out of the plate carrier, they still have that ring to draw it out, and they also have a glass breaker on there. And this one is, I think, a nice mix. You can have it like that. If you have bigger hands, you still have some room, and you can also use it like that. And if you have bigger hands, your hand will be just laying a bit on the ring. So let's continue with that knife and drill out these holes and get it ready to be ground before heat treatment. So I have now also added a sharpening choil to this knife. I just prefer working with sharpening choils, and it also gives it a kind of cool look. And now I'm going to use blue die chem to mark out the edges so we can scribe it really nicely, so we have a really good center line. Alright guys, so the preheat treatment grind is done, so we are now ready to heat treat this guy. I've chosen to make a 10-inch hollow grind on this one, and then we've made a really narrow switch up here with a really small wheel, contact wheel, which looks also pretty nice. Alright, so the knife is now heat treated and tempered, so we can finish up the grind on this knife. Alright, so now the heavy grinding is done, and mostly I'm using ceramic belts. This one is now 120 grit belt, and these belts are quite stiff from the material. They have a heavy backing, and I want to grind the plunge lines, which is this portion right here. I want to clean that up a bit so it is not as rough. and for that I'm going to use a more flexible belt. It has a less stiffer backing, and I can have the tracking of my machine to the right or to the left, so I can cut in these plunges really nice and get that nice swooping curve that we want and have a clean plunge line in the end. Alright, so I've got now the 240 grit on the contact wheel, and now you can see how the belt is a little bit offset to the contact wheel, and it just folds around these corners really nicely, and that helps us a lot with cleaning up these plunge lines. Alright, so for this knife I thought why not use neon green. Haven't used it in quite a while, and it can be a really cool color, especially when you're doing a really dark edge on this knife. Alright, so the knife is not focusing, but now you can see it, the handle is shaped. So I will now sandblast it in my sandblasting cabinet. I won't show you that, it's not that interesting, and I barely seen it, so it's really hard to film that inside. And after that we are going to apply the finish, and then its only step is sharpening the knife, and the knife is done. Basically we can make a Kydex sheath, but for now I just want to test that knife, so I don't need a sheath for that for now. So let's get this knife finished. So the knife is now sandblasted, and today we are not going to use ferrochloride, we're going to use quick browning thingamadoo, which is called Schnellbrunierung in German. So we are going to darken that steel with that stuff, but before that we have to clean it off. Even though it's out of the sandblaster, I just want to clean it up with some isopropyl alcohol or acetone, whatever you have, to get rid of maybe some fingerprints, some maybe oil residues that are left. Just want to clean it up so you don't get any kind of fingerprints or weird spots on the knife in the end. And now that the knife is blackened, we're going to put it into my stone tumbler and then put a rock finish on there. Alright guys, so the knife is done and it is also super sharp, which I'm also pretty happy with, and I'm probably going to do more of these, but then I'm going to get them water jet cut out. That just makes life a little bit easier, but again, it was a really cool project and I've got a new design that I fall in love with, and I also hope that you like that video. If you want to see different kind of videos, different knives that I should try out, and you want to see me doing them in the classic Forgeworks style with rock pattern, stone wash, all that kind of stuff, just drop them down below. If you have any questions, also drop them down below. I try to answer them as quickly as possible, and if you don't want to miss any content, hit that subscribe button. And other than that, I have nothing more to say, and we'll see us in the next video.